Good afternoon, honorable government official, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Investment Promotion Week organized by Invest Hong Kong. So coming up next, we're going to have a panel discussions on the family's legacy preservations and social impact. I'm Xavier Yao, your MC for today. So first of all, on behalf of Invest Hong Kong, I would like to thank you, all of you, for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining us here today. So to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the establishment of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, Invest Hong Kong hosts the Investment Promotion Week from today until the 21st October to promote the investment and business opportunities in Hong Kong. So in this week-long hybrid event, government officials and distinguished speakers from various sectors, including financial and professional services, innovations and technology industries, lifestyle and creative industries, startups and businesses in the Greater Bay Area will share their insight and experience. So we are now coming to the panel discussions on family legacy preservation and social impact. So I will look into the different issues on intergenerations transfer of wealth, the preservations of family values and culture, as well as sharings on experience in engaging in ESG and philanthropy. Now, let's welcome our moderator, Mr. Herman Tse, Head of Business and Professional Services at Invest Hong Kong. Let's welcome Herman. Herman, please. So Herman will be joined by 4 panelists. So first, we have Ms. Jasmine Lee, Managing Partner, Ernst & Young, Hong Kong and Macau. So with over 25 years of experience, Jasmine has acquired deep expertise on an array of assurance, strategy, and consulting services, leading business growth and optimization initiatives for major financial services companies across mainland China and Hong Kong. So welcome, Jasmine. So next we have Ms. Jacqueline Shek, Executive Director, Trust Services, CJO Hong Kong and Chairman of Legislative and Regulatory Subcommittee, Hong Kong Trustee Associations. So Jacqueline has over 20 years of specialized experience in tax, trust, and private wealth structuring. Jacqueline has also the extensive experience in setting up and managing private trust and charitable arrangements. So next we have Ms. Katie Yong, Managing Partner, Sustainable Finance Initiative. So Sustainable Finance Initiative is an Asian homegrown community of private investors who believe in capital that matters. So it empowers its members, including family office, private investors, and financial services professionals with knowledge and expertise to invest for purpose and profit. So last, we have Ms. Chloe Soon, Chair of Simon Soon Foundation and founder of Soon Museum. So Chloe is a devoted advocate and expert in promoting the development of Hong Kong cultural landscape. So she served on multiple government committees on arts and heritage, including the Advisory Committee on Built Heritage Conservation, the Intangible Cultural Heritage Advisory Committee, the Arts Subcommittee of the Museum Advisory Committee. So our speakers will discuss the different ways and trends in planning for intergenerations transfer of tangible and intangible family legacy, as well as the opportunities and challenges in execution. So ladies and gentlemen, let's put a hand for our speakers.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome. As you may know that Hong Kong possesses one of the largest ultra-high net worth populations in the world. The city surely attracts family offices from all around the world to come here and thrive. Yet, for many family offices and ultra-high net worth families, family legacy preservation is a big topic, as it is an important part of family succession. So today we have a panel discussion on family legacy preservation and social impact. If you have any questions, we will have a we will have a Q&A session at the end of the panel discussion. So please raise your hand and our colleagues will pass the mic to you during the Q&A session. Thank you. Now first, I would like to turn to Jasmine. Jasmine, as head of EY in Hong Kong, I'm sure that a lot of the ultra-high net worth clients will come to you for advice. So can you share with us how can a family office help a succession and to preserve its legacy?
Thank you. Thank you, Herman. If my clients are actually reaching out to me for advice, I will tell them to reach out to my partners. You know, over there, we have a whole team there supporting me and Invest Hong Kong. Huh? Okay. Thank you for inviting me here, Herman. And very happy to be the first speaker and sharing my view of why family office is important. You're going to ask me about that, right?
Yeah.
The question.
Yeah. So, do you think that a family legacy is important and preservation is important?
Exactly.
And what would you advise your clients?
Oh, sure. I think the family legacy. I think the legacy. This word is actually it's a big word. I guess it's I would probably visualize legacy meaning it's an element that is connecting and binding. What the family has been doing. Yep. The core business of the family, for example, and also the core values. The core values of what they are actually valuing, yep. And also some of the meaningful achievements that they have done. I guess that's the legacy that probably the family will be wanting to pass on.
I see.
Now, and it's also interesting that we also see there is different definition though, especially coming to the current context. Some of the family probably will treasure accumulation of wealth more. That's the legacy that they want to be passing down to next generations, meaning with more and more money. Probably the other one will be legacy, meaning what am I doing the best? I'm going to preserve that. That's the core strength of my family, the core service, core business that we're doing. We want to pass on. Now, but it also comes to a new type of legacy right now that I see younger generations are wanting to pass on is some of the core values that the generations who want the family to really demonstrate and pass that on to the next generations. Now, there's a Chinese saying which I don't really like that well. This the something generations beyond three, that
beyond
type
three
of thing.
generations.
Now I'm going with I'm sure that with the effort of Hong Kong government and Invest Hong Kong, all of us, we're going to make all this family,
Yep.
be sustainable beyond 30th and more generations to come. Now
Absolutely.
that is very important, and I'm sure we can do that.
Absolutely.
I think, simply speaking, I think the family office is a very good way. If it's structured in the correct way, the family office can really, really help a family to sort of strategize, what they're going to do with their wealth better. Especially, I think, in terms of planning at the very initial stage, depending on what they want to do, right? The type of legacy that they want to pass on. Especially, I guess, a couple of elements like, what they are treasuring with regards to the core values, what they're wanting to pass on. I think also with the relationship thing, I think that's important. What is the relationship? Are they sustainable right now with existing relationships, or are they going to, develop newer relationships? Also, how are they going to succeed? The family is always large, right? They have a lot of different branches out, and who is going to succeed what? And there are also a lot of new challenges.
Yeah.
Herman, we have knowledge transformation, new types of things going on, and the wealth management. So I guess with a structured family office, that's very important. 4 key elements, I guess. Family office can help diversification of the investment. They can also do a more formal structure, and that will probably be directly related to tax incentives. A lot of times, it's family office clients come to UI to talk about, how you can actually advise me on tax issues.
Yep.
The other thing is, the thing that I like the most is risk management. I think there are a lot of challenges right now, which I hope family offices can really make use of their experts to do more and better risk management. And the other one is, if you have a really good and powerful family office in presence, I think, you have a larger or a more powerful power of negotiation with, whatever counterparty you're dealing with, like investment bankers or, brokerage houses and stuff. So that would be important and that would be beneficial. So I guess that's that was why I think family office is important, and they can help to preserve the legacy.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I would like to turn to Jacqueline. Jacqueline, you're a trust expert. So my question to you is, how does a trustee assist with family legacy preservation?
Thank you, Herman. Well, trust is the structure for seamless succession of wealth, right? So family office helps to fulfill the family values, looks after family members through family concierge services. Family office looks after the investments, the financial wealth of the family, and helps to spend the money as well in a meaningful way, an impactful way, and, according to the family's values. In contrast to that the family trust is really the wealth owning structure. So the trustee becomes the legal owner of the assets. Now, trust as legal owner of the assets has many advantages. In particular, I would mention 3: the avoidance of probate. When you have international assets and international families, even the process of finding your will, proving it is real, is valid, finding the assets, vesting it in the right person that you intend to pass it on in your death, that can be a laborious process, a lengthy process, potentially an expensive process. On the other hand, if the high net worth assets is already transferred into a family trust during their lifetime, then upon the passing of the wealth owner, it can be a much more painless and more seamless transfer, intergenerational transfer of wealth. So avoidance of probate is a very legitimate reason for a lot of people to set up trusts. Then there's also a very important reason for keeping ownership of assets unified. Whether it's a family-owned business, whether it's a collection of artwork, or the family home. By putting into a trust, you can keep the ownership unified, as opposed to, I have 3 kids, I pass it on, everyone has 1/3 interest in the family business. Control is lost, it's fragmentized, my artwork gets sold off by the next gen who doesn't appreciate it, my family home get redeveloped, et cetera, et cetera. So to the extent there are key assets that the family wants to pass on as part of the legacy from generation to generation, a trust is extremely important too. Thirdly, I want to put forward the point that using a family trust actually keeps things simple. People often think that family trusts are really complex things. Actually, it's the people and the assets that's complex. People have complex relationships. They may be born. Say I was an heiress. I inherit a lot of wealth from my father. I acquired a U.S. green card somewhere along the way. I fall in love with someone while I was in Beijing and marry in the mainland China. We decided to immigrate to Australia. Life was too hard, so my marriage falls apart, and then I moved on to UK, where I happily died there. I'm using myself as an example, so it's not that far-fetched a set of facts with the international families that I deal with. But in every single one of those scenarios, all my life situations, if the wealth was in my own name, there would be very little of it left by the time I'm through with divorce, the tax authorities in the different jurisdictions, and then you finish it off with the UK inheritance tax. So what would be left? On the other hand, if my father had put all my inheritance into a family trust, then I can go on with all my global mobility, fall in and out of love, have as many marriages and divorces I may encounter, and things could be much better preserved. So actually, family trusts can often keep things simpler for people who are globally mobile and have assets all over the world. So those are the basic structuring aspects of having family trust.
Yeah.
Family trust also helps a lot with families to communicate so that they're sharing their values.
Actually, my next question to you is, does a proper structure help in communication to different family members for family legacy preservation?
It can help a lot because there's communication between family members, or lack thereof in some cases, And then there is your constructive communication as wealth owners and sharing legacy. So trust can be very bespoke. You can build in family values and your family governance framework. So we can then set up committees, and investment committees, whether you involve professionals or just family members, to talk about how families should be investing, what the next gen see as the direction. A charitable committee for family members to reflect back on how the money should be spent for philanthropic endeavors. So trustees can absolutely play an important role to make sure that these structured conversations are taking place in a constructive way and discussions are properly recorded and implemented.
Thank you very much. Now, we have a new, in the past 2 or 3 years, there's a new development of global economic elements all around the world, and that's ESG, environment, social, and governance. And it's not only, Hong Kong is no exception because our government announced a climate action plan 2050 last year as well. So we are also aimed to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And for the new generations of high net worth individuals, I'm sure that they pay a lot of attention to ESG investment as well. So today I also have Katie here to talk about ESG investment and social impact and how does it relate to family legacy preservation. So actually before the session started, I also asked Katie for advice because I also want to invest in renewable energy companies, but that's for another time. So Katie, so what exciting trends have you seen on sustainable and impact investing among families globally and in Asia?
Thank you. So a bit of my background, I'm also a financial professional, and I worked within a family office for a decade, squarely focused on building a portfolio that is around ESG and impact investing. So what's exciting is 10 years ago when I was working in the family office, number one was I think we had trouble finding where the investments are. People are asking us, does impact investing make you money? And if we wanted to kind of convince other family offices to do the same thing, I would have trouble even locating who is the right person to talk to. Is it the philanthropy head that's doing foundation philanthropic giving? Is it the family office CIO? Or is it the person that's running the business that's thinking about greening the supply chain? Fast forward to 10 years later, which is who we are today, we have a community of different family offices in Hong Kong and Singapore, and they are not asking us questions about does it make us money, but they're asking questions around where are these opportunities, I'm ready to invest. And in terms of the types of conversations we are having around impact investing, we're going beyond ESG, which to us is more risk mitigation. They're finding solutions for positive impact and positive return. And I'm having conversations with not just the next gen, but also the older generation, so the patriarch, the matriarch. I might be having a conversation with a foundation that's interested in mental health. Apart from giving away money, they also want to invest into some of the tech solutions. So this type of conversation 10 years later has become much more interwoven in what I call like the trifactor of family offices, which within a family office setting, you actually have many different pots of activity. And no matter where you sit, whether it's from a philanthropic point of view, an investment point of view, or business point of view, for me, it's finally becoming more coherent and it's all gelling together. So that's very exciting for us. The second part is about market size. We talk a lot about ESG. Fresh out of the press is a study that showed how big is this impact investing market. So according to the Global Impact Investor Network, it's around 1.6 trillion US dollars. So it's not humongous, but it's also not insignificant that it's really gaining traction. And within this 1.6 trillion, 4% of it is coming from family offices, and it's probably not I think it's underreported because a lot of people, families that are doing it may not be reporting it. So to me, that also signifies that there's a certain amount of mainstreaming of impact investing within family offices. And last but not least, the opportunity set. In Hong Kong, for the past 2-3 years, we've been within, our own borders. Having said that, alone at SFI, we've vetted over 200 different opportunities, mainly in the venture space. And that tells us, in terms of demand-supply dynamic, there's a lot of supply. And so I think the exciting part is for any family office that wants to start impact investing, you've actually got a lot to pick and choose from.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So, can you give us some examples that how impact investing is relevant to preserving and extending the family legacy? As you mentioned that, the new generation is thinking about it. The older generation is also thinking about it. So, how does the two generations communicate and extend the family legacy?
I think maybe one case study or example is we've got a next generation individual that's in his 40s, for example. So they are actually in the commodities business, in the real estate business. So the family obviously wants to continue that. At the same time, in terms of legacy, they're thinking about their philanthropic giving. And so what impact investing did is they created a carve-out entity that was all around impact investing and sustainable investing. So they would invest into mental health, well-being type of solutions that could be offered to some of their nonprofit grantees and also their employees. They invested into climate tech solutions, something around decarbonization, cement technology that goes into the property and construction business. So all of a sudden, through this one vehicle, it was a conversation across the different generations, whether it's about the family business, whether it's about philanthropy. Impact investing kind of hits on a few of these themes, and it becomes a very good way for the family business to future-proof itself, to think about innovation, but also the family to come together to think about what other values do we have, what do we care about, and apart from the donations and the philanthropic giving, it can actually spill over to our investment side as well.
I see. Thank you. Now, I mentioned earlier that now our government has a climate action plan 2050, and ESG awareness is much greater than 2-3 years before, especially compared to pre-COVID period. Now, what opportunities do you see for Hong Kong family in this aspect, as we are probably in the early starting stage in terms of ESG development? Do you see that we still have a lot of opportunities in Hong Kong here?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, for us, we take a portfolio approach. So, for example, just at the Rethink conference at the Convention Center last week, it was amazing. We saw so many different sustainable solutions. There was one that was around recycled plastic and bricks. So that's something that is within the borders of Hong Kong, and you can use these solutions, and energy savings and all that. So I think the opportunity, one, is adopt some of these proven technology into your own business. In terms of the investment spectrum, I would say go beyond ESG and go beyond green bonds. And not that it's, I think Hong Kong is a great city for that, but there's a whole wealth of riskier, but high return promising tech venture innovation that we're seeing both in Hong Kong, in Singapore, and overseas that is investable. And so it's really a full suite.
Thank you. Well, on that, I think on Thursday, we have our Startup Day, and we will focus on sustainable development or sustainability and ESG development from the startup perspective. So the audience here or online, if you're interested, please make sure that you join our Thursday Startup Day, and we would talk about sustainability. So thank you. Now I would like to turn to Chloe. I know that you are an art expert. You have a passion in art, and you found your charitable foundation yourself and use art to create social impact. Can you share your experience with us that in setting up this foundation process and why using art as a tool to create social impact?
Thank you. So I'm very glad to be here. I just learned a lot from the three professionals. So I think for me today is just a good chance to share our journey. I would not call myself an expert by any chance, but thank you for that. Actually, my parents founded a business 40 years ago, and that business continues to run. But 10 years ago, he began to, well, no, actually, time flies. 20 years ago, he began to get involved, very involved with the promotion of Chinese art and culture. So in terms of Chinese classical studies, sinology, it's a very niche field, especially for an entrepreneur to focus on. But it was a personal passion of his, and he also began collecting arts, Chinese ink specifically. With that, at that time, I just came back to Hong Kong, and I was beginning to help him with some of the family with the business. But what we were noticing is that it was a lot of donation and a lot of support on and off, not very structured. I think a lot of you have experience with that or have witnessed that in your work. Unsystematic philanthropic work, I would call it. And for me, as a second generation, I really thought that we need to put some structure around it. And because my parents also felt that it wasn't really appropriate for the business to sort of allocate funding into that. I think because we're talking about family office and legacy. Because I kind of wear three hats now. I'm on the board for the business, I run our foundation, and I also run our family office. So I often laugh that in Chinese we call 左袋右袋, it's just it's money, but it's this pocket or this pocket or this pocket. And I have to decide which pocket it comes from. But I think that sort of explains why we need family office, why we need to have more systematic setup for philanthropic work, because when you are running a business, especially for someone like my parents who were sort of stepping back, you don't want to end up involving your business in your personal passion. So at that time, we decided to set up a foundation to sort of start allocating this fund more systematically, and we did that. And later on, we start setting up a family office to sort of take it to the next level, because philanthropic work at that point was just making grants or setting up scholarships and things like that. But once we got to a point where we had to manage that pot of money as well, we start to see the needs of a family office to provide. I love Jacqueline's word, concierge service. That's what I think one of the foundation of what a family office needs to do. It is actually very broad in terms of covering the investment, providing administrative support, consolidating all the nitty-gritties of running. I would say any family in Hong Kong would have at least a dozen companies to run that administratively. So that's kind of our journey in the past 10 years of sort of separating business, family office, and foundation for philanthropy. And that takes us to where I would say, as a second generation, when we talk about legacy, what I have really observed is that the concept of legacy for us is really the core values of doing goods and paying back to the society. That permeates through all the things we do. So my siblings are involved in the running of the business. They make sure they do that when they execute business decisions, when they make business decisions. For me, being more involved in the foundation and the family office, we also make sure our investment and our philanthropic work are all working toward the same goal. But I think the interesting thing is that I think we need to remember that if the value is the legacy, it could manifest itself differently as generations move on, because we don't care about the same things with the same amount of passion. The reason why I say that is that I also have friends who are fourth generations, or fifth sometimes. And maybe they were the pioneers in setting up foundation and setting up trust many years ago. But I think as time changes, and as each person develops, you might end up wanting to put resources in different areas. So for us, I think as we are building the family office and the foundation, we want to build in flexibility as well, because our foundation focuses on arts and Chinese culture and humanities and all that. But maybe my grandchildren don't want to put all the resources in that. Maybe they will honor our vision, but they might do it out of duty, but that might not be their passion. So how do we balance that? I don't think we need to talk about 50 years from now. Actually, we're already seeing that my siblings and I, there are 4 of us, we slightly care about different things more or less. So I think for anyone here who's advising someone to do this or is considering doing this themselves, I do think it is important to have flexibility when preserving legacy. Yeah.
So to echo what you said, I mean, art is very subjective. I mean, it's not like a financial product which you have the numbers, you can determine the risk and reward. Art is very subjective. So what are the challenges in using art to preserve family legacy?
I think it is really difficult, as you said. We see a lot of examples where I think Jasmine mentioned as well, when a prominent collector passes, the collection is broken up and sold because even if the later generations also care for art, they might not care for the same pieces of art. Your father might be a prominent collector in Ming furniture, but you love contemporary arts. Then what do you do with a whole warehouse of billions of dollars worth of furniture? I think it's similar with all assets, actually. I really think one of the things we believe in to use art as a promotion of, advancement of our society is because we really feel that it is something that transcends all languages and time and backgrounds. And we have an art museum that's open to the public for free in Hong Kong because we believe that by showing the diversity of arts and artists and collectors that we have in Hong Kong, we could really help everyone understand about the stories of Hong Kong and the culture of Hong Kong and Chinese culture and how Hong Kong has played a significant part in the exchanges between East and West. We set it out to do that. Whether or not across generations we can do that, we don't know. I think for us, we consider ourselves a guardian of artwork. We want to use the artwork to share with the public what was hidden in the artwork, but we don't consider it so much as assets that needs to fulfill certain purposes for us. It's really something we hope to use as a mean to fulfill our vision, I think.
Understand. With the opening of M+ and Palace Museum in Hong Kong, we also try to promote Hong Kong as an art and cultural center as well. Now, Chloe, do you see other opportunities? I mean, that Hong Kong may have for families who want to use art to create social impact?
Absolutely. I think with the opening of various museums, it's very, very exciting for Hong Kong. We have excellent, world-class collections within the private sector. We have very, very well-known collectors of not just Chinese art. We have some, this is recorded, but we have some excellent Monet in Hong Kong that's, hidden somewhere. But I think the reason I say that is because I really hope that we could showcase the work by our collectors more, but that is not just up to the collectors to generously lend or even donate their work. We must have the infrastructure, museums, the talents, the logistics, even the legal tax systems to all facilitate and let collectors be comfortable with sharing their work publicly. I think that is something that I am really excited about. Sometimes we have discussions around, would tax benefits help? I think everything will help, but we need more examples of we need more success cases, let's say. So I think in very large museums in the UK or in the US, you will always see, on the caption, this is generously unknown from someone's family collection or from a corporate collection. I think once we see more examples of that, you will begin to see Hong Kong collectors being very excited and being very generous about sharing their collections. I think it will take some time, but I'm quite optimistic about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I would like to turn back to Jasmine. Hopefully that after all the different speakers and yourself, talking about different aspects of family offices and probably the infrastructures that we have in Hong Kong. Now, does Hong Kong have the advantages to be a family's office hub? I mean, at the end of the day, we are a international financial center. So it is one of our strengths. So maybe if I can ask you to maybe to summarize on that.
Sure. Before I replied on my question, I also want to respond and echo on Chloe's speech just now. I think I really agree to a very large extent. Remember when I talk about wine office, family office is important, right? I do think if the family office with a good governance and a dedicated leadership team, if that's actually in existence, I think that would be very beneficial to help actually inspire a lot of meaningful conversations and discussions in a rational and harmonious way, and avoid possible arguments or disruptions. Just like say, and what are we going to do? A lot of, for all these different things, how are we going to do it? I think with a good, structured, and really with experts type of family office, I think they can set the boundaries clearly within the family office, within the family, and really will be able to assign the ownership of the responsibility and really make sure there will be no decisions sort of like arbitrarily made. And I think that's very important. I just want to echo this. And I think that's also one of the things that EY can also help, of course. If you have any friends who want to really build up a family office, I think the governance part is actually very important. How is it going to build it? A little bit of commercial time. Sorry about it. Okay. I think I want to break this sort of answering your questions into three parts.
Yep.
Possibly some statistics, because you're asking me what is the social impact, right, that the family office can actually generate. I think there are a lot of statistics that I can share. Some of those are actually done by EY. I think the activities that the family office can do, it's actually beyond just creating money. A lot of times it can actually be very beneficial in terms of the social impact. Actually some of the statistics, like largest 500 family business generate US $7.28 trillion in revenue and employ 24.1 million people. I think that's a very important part with the ESG thing, talking about the S, right? Also, I think, in Asia, this geography is a little, I wouldn't say lagging behind, but it's not that probably aggressive as the United States in this family office arena. I think in the United States, family office are even more prominent, I guess. There's a lot of family-owned firms, employ 62% of the U.S. workforce. So, a lot of the U.S. people are actually working on things that are actually related to family office type of thing. Now, from a sustainability perspective, we have been actually also discussing a lot. Actually, in Hong Kong, according to a survey done by the Family Office Association of Hong Kong, right, 85% of the family offices are expected to raise actually their future allocations to ESG type of things, making investment and making the impact,
Yep.
and really doing all this to benefit the society. So that is also the ESG perspective that the family office activities can bring. And also, last but not least, with the philanthropy stuff that we're talking about, I think a lot of, I wouldn't say only younger generations want to donate money. Our older generations also have donated a lot of money. But all in all, I think there are a lot of even probably more prominent ideas or more creative ideas as to how some of the family office wealth can be redistributed back to the society in a structured way and really benefiting some of the probably more underprivileged sector, or a sector that the family is having interest in supporting. So I think all these other statistics, that family office can really be very beneficial in terms of social,
Yep.
and sort of like redistributing back the wealth to the society. Now, if you ask me, what about Hong Kong then? Are we having the edge of being the one of the very important hubs for the family office
Yep.
business? And definitely the answer is, of course, yes. There are a couple of reasons, I guess. Always is the gateway to China, right? The connection to China. But I have no doubt on this, because China is a very big country, vast country with a lot of different industry sectors. So there must be very huge opportunities there. But we also what Chloe has said. We have a lot of art collections, antique collections. All these different treasures that actually the family offices in the other countries can actually consider to make investments. So I think that is a really attractive part, because Hong Kong is so much connected to China. And by itself, I think Hong Kong, as you mentioned, we are the IFC, right? So we definitely have the sort of the fundamental criteria, fundamental prerequisite for family offices people to come and make investment in. Like, just to call a few, of the example, like free flow capital. We have a good legal system. Our tax regime is actually quite simple, straightforward. And we also still have a very large pool of different talents. And we are continuing to attract, different talents back to work for us. Don't forget our real huge pool of diversified financial institutions in Hong Kong here that can help support all the investment things to be conducted. And also, don't forget the information flow. We're still in a very free state. So I think we definitely possess all these prerequisites that we can definitely, and we should be actually doing our very best to grasp and make use of, and drive ourselves to be one of the hubs, if not the best hub,
Right.
at least one of the very important center or places that these huge family offices will consider. Now, time is running up. I just want to share some of the already good things that we have been doing, all right? Just encouraging us to do even more. I think we have been doing, of course, very good already. Like Hong Kong is a very active social sector that actually has grown over to, in the past 20 years, we have grown a lot in terms of the number of tax-exempt charities. So we do have a lot of, different charitable organizations that can actually allow our family offices to give out, their wealth and to support them. We also have done a survey actually saying a lot of people are actually finding Hong Kong is a very attractive hub for family office. Family office hub as Asia, 90% of it think, Hong Kong is the first number one place that will come up to their mind. And also, they think, the unique gateway to China, which I've mentioned. Also, the tax regime is definitely a huge element. And also, we are at the very heart of Asia. So these are, some of the perspectives that the outsiders, the family office people, are actually, already observing. And also, I just got a statistic saying we have 14 family offices in Hong Kong. Now, the most number of the first few countries that have the most number of family offices in Asia are Hong Kong, 18, and then Korea. Interesting, with a lot of real big family offices in Korea, 14. China, of course, 11, and Japan 9. So, in the 2020, I think the 14 family offices in Hong Kong, they already have $1.2 billion of investment made already. So that is comprising of a 46% of increment. And in terms of the asset size, it's getting over 2,000 billion dollar. So it demonstrates already a big sort of growth in the entire family office area in Hong Kong.
Yep.
And I do believe we have already been doing well,
Yep.
and we should be continuously doing well in this with a little bit more robust drive.
Yep.
Just like Invest Hong Kong, we also have collaborated with you guys in promoting some of those aspects. So I do think the prospect is very, very promising here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now, in the interest of time, maybe we now turn to Q&A session. I just wonder, do our audience have any questions for our speakers here? Can someone pass the mic to you? Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've been always talk about different kind of international hubs. We are talking about international finance hub. We are talking about family office hub. We are talking about RMB offshore hub. Recently, yesterday, Financial Secretary Paul Chan even talked about building a virtual asset hub. I'm just wondering if the family office in Hong Kong have any appetite for virtual assets, and are there any perspective there? Thank you.
I think like all the families we're working with, it's just another type of investment that all the families are interested in, some to a bigger extent, some to a lesser extent. So definitely, so modern portfolio, everyone has some interest in developing it.
I want to. It's a very good question, actually. We're talking about a lot about alternative type of investment, like of course, the art and the taken, but not everybody are so artistic. But some of the people are probably more creative and also want more newer stuff and more exciting stuff like NFT, the metaverse stuff, or some stuff that we actually don't even understand what's going on. I think the family office people have a lot of interest and curiosity in trying to explore. In fact, we have a lot of family office friends that are actually also exploring into these topics, and we are trying to arrange seminars and events to give them such kind of information. I do think it's very promising that the Financial Secretary actually emphasized there is a need to build a virtual asset center here in Hong Kong, because I do think it's a global trend. And I do hope if the family office, if that actually realizes, the family office can have even more things that can be going on this. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on that point because I just came back from Singapore. So we each actually saw the differences. So people there, I would say that it's our good time and we can actually have something done in Hong Kong if we all work together. So we can communicate more after that. And we are happy to share with the industry, with everyone. And hopefully we can get more understanding of it and starting to work towards the common goal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another question, please? I mean, the mic over here, this gentleman here.
In the center.
Thank you so much. There's an old saying in Chinese, 盛世古董，乱世黄金. So in proper time, you buy antiquities, and in the chaotic times, you buy gold. We're facing a quite challenging world right now. Probably next year is going to be even worse. So, my question for four ladies sitting upstairs, should we buy antiquities right now, or should we buy gold bars? And should we put it in the actual bank, or should we put it in the trust offshore? And do you consider this as a sustainable investment? And how would EY say? Thank you.
Maybe sustainable investment, maybe I'll start with Katie, what do you think?
First, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't say whether now is the right time. But on the sustainability angle, that has definitely been explored, because as you know, a lot of family office will hold real assets, and gold being one of them. I think a couple years back, it's been challenging, but now there's sustainable gold that you could invest into, which goes into all sorts of traceability. Having said that, in ESG world, there are also like risks that comes with it when it comes to where do you source the gold, what are the supply chains. So from a sustainability angle, that's a bit of a debatable topic. People, when it comes to gold and cash, it's always about like, how sustainable can it be? What alternative asset class can we replace it with if we want something that's real assets that's gonna help you with preservation of wealth. Any other takers?
Definitely not an investment expert either, but in terms of your structuring, whether it's NFT or antiques and arts, for us, it's the same issues: custody risk, insurable risk, valuations. There's the subjective element or the unknown element. Gold gives you that certainty, so we always say definitely diversify. You want to have a bit of everything, but it also leads into our next session. I'm joining roundtable on communications, and it echoes a lot what Katie was saying. You want to have the consensus amongst families, and what do they believe in? Do you need the cash and the gold to support the other initiatives that you're doing? Do you balance it out? Do you make sure that everyone's views are heard?
I think just to add on the sustainable real assets category, families are looking at things like sustainable forestry, also land, when it comes to more agriculture, regenerative agriculture. So within the sustainability topic, once you open up that kind of lens, there's a lot more to explore actually from an investment point of view.
All right, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have come up to the time, and we have several breakout sessions, and hopefully that you can join us and continue the discussion with different experts. So please give the speakers here big hands. Thank you very much.
So our speaker, please kindly be seated as we're going to have a good photo together. So Hermans, please be seated. So we're going to have a good photo together. So thank you, our speaker, for sharing with us about the importance of family offices from a different perspective. I think we certainly learned a lot from this very insightful sharings. All right, one more picture. Thank you, our speaker. Please be seated off stage. Thank you very much. So today's panel discussion is coming to an end. Thank you very much for all of your support that each of you has provided to make this event a very great successful. So we were also very happy to have you stay with us for the following concurrent sessions, which will be focusing on different topics, including ESG, impact investing, and philanthropy at room 425. We also have facilitative measures on promoting family offices in Hong Kong at room 426. We also have importance of communications in successions planning at room 429. We also have a Mandarin sessions of a glance at opportunities in alternative investments markets by leveraging Hong Kong's advantage at room 427. We also have an English sessions of a glance at opportunities in alternative investment markets by leveraging Hong Kong's advantage at room 428. So these breakout sessions will happen concurrently from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and the formats will be more interactive. You're very welcome to join a session of your choice and share your valuable opinions about the industries. So you're also very welcome to stay in our networking room at 4:30 to greet and meet other guests. So there's also a photo booth where you can take photos there. So thank you once again for joining us here today. On behalf of Invest Hong Kong, we wish you all the best and good health. Thank you and have a pleasant afternoon. Thank you.